Welcome to NFL World, when NFL starts and ends. I'm your host, Jacob. And a bombshell fell in the NFL world yesterday as Micah Parsons was traded to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark. Now, I said this earlier in the offseason. I said, there's no way Micah gets traded. There's no way. It's not possible. They won't trade him. And you could imagine my surprise yesterday when I saw Palacero, Rap Sheet, Garofolo, everyone saying the Cowboys just traded Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. And the Green Bay Packers are going to pay Micah Parsons a brand new contract, 4 years, $188 million. Now, I sat back in my chair because I was sitting down. If I wasn't sitting down, I probably would have fainted. I sat back in my chair and I said to myself, 4 years, 188. Didn't Jerry say in an interview he offered Micah 4 years, 200? Now, if you don't know what those numbers completely mean, it means Micah Parsons on his new contract will make $47 million on average. Where if he had made about a couple, it was about 100, it would have been close to 50. It would have been like 48 and a half, give or take. But the point is, I looked at that and I said to myself, why? Why? Not why did they just trade Micah Parsons? I don't understand that. Not entirely, anyway. But why did the Joneses feel that trading him was the best option? And trading him to the Packers, no less. And trading him for as little as they got. They didn't get anything. They got 2 firsts and Kenny Clark. Had they done this in March, before free agency started, they would have gotten a bundle. Even if they did this before the draft, they would have gotten more. They didn't get anything. They got an old defensive tackle who is better than what is on the free agent market right now. I don't disagree with that. I understand. I agree. There's not as many good defensive linemen. I get it. But the 2 first-round picks, you can't even use until the next year. So it's a problem. And then Jerry Jones sat up there, first of all, by himself for a while. Because I get notifications from people who are in these press conferences, and someone said, the Cowboys only have 1 chair out, which means there was only 1 person talking. And it was Jerry. That was it. That was who was talking. And then eventually I got a notification about a couple minutes later, 5-10 minutes later, they're setting up a second chair, and out comes Steven. And they were trying to say, well, everyone was on the same page of this deal and everyone was unanimous. No, they weren't. Obviously, they weren't. Whoever made this deal, whoever made this trade, really thought this would benefit the team. But how does it? How does it? You trade your best player away, that player that makes you a playoff team more likely, to now you're missing the playoffs more likely. Maybe there's a magical run where the offense can just click enough that you can get some games, and then the younger players that you have can make enough plays to hopefully fill the gaps. I don't get this move. I just don't. But that's my only ability to get it. Because let me explain how this happened. They could have paid Micah Parsons last year. And he was told, well, there's Dak, there's CD, we can't. But they could have. They could have probably paid him early, too. They really could have. They waited, and they said, no, we can't pay you right now. And he said, okay, fine. He plays yes, he got banged up a little bit, but he played. And he played well. Even when he came back, he played really well. He had 12 sacks after missing 4 games. And he said now he's expected to get paid. And next thing you know, it's, well, we'll see. Well, we'll see. Who knows? And in March, they said we had a handshake deal. In April, they said the same thing. In June, July, August. A handshake deal doesn't mean anything if the agent isn't involved. It doesn't work that way. And that's what they were saying, that as if they did agree. It's not how the world works. So why do they keep pushing that narrative and continuously attacking Micah, attacking his agent David Mulgeta in the media for no reason? And then any time Mulgeta or Parsons would go back against them in the media, and a lot of times they were winning. Not just the media, but Parsons and Mulgeta were winning. It annoyed the Cowboys. That's really why I think he got traded. I don't think it was just because of his talent. Because Joe Jones sat up there and said, it takes more than one great player to make a playoffs and have more success in the playoffs. I don't disagree with that, but I don't think that's the way you handle it. I just don't. I think it was more because they were annoyed. That the Cowboys were annoyed that Micah and his agent weren't backing down. They weren't backing down. That's what I think they were annoyed about. They weren't Micah wasn't backing down. The Cowboys weren't backing down. David Mulgeta was not backing down. And so what's happening was they were not backing down at all, to the point the Joneses were getting all nervous and didn't know what to do. And that's what they kept doing. But never once did I think in this offseason that Micah Parsons was getting traded to the Packers, no less. A team that you play in a month. Never once. And I was thinking about this just earlier today, and I'm thinking, the only thing I can come back to is you got to somehow mold the players you have, which are Dante Fowler, Sam Williams, James Houston, and Donovan Ezeraku. Those players you do have haven't done anything really. You're betting on James Houston to have a coming out party. You're betting on Sam Williams to have a coming out party. You're betting on Donovan Ezeraku to get you a monster rookie year. You're betting on all those things. I don't see how that's happening with this team. Maybe you can. Because you know what it feels like? Does anyone remember the movie Moneyball with Jonah Hill and Brad Pitt? Brad Pitt was the general manager. Jonah Hill was the assistant general manager. And they're talking about how in replacing Jason Giambi and Matt Damon and all these guys, to bring in players who they could remake in the image that could hit, could run, could get on base, could do anything. That they might not give you the home runs, but they can hopefully equal it up in some level. That's what they're betting on. They're betting on that Ezeraku, Williams, and Houston can take what Micah did in about 13 games, take what he did, which was 12 sacks, and have each of them get 4 or 5, and hopefully can bring it back to a normal level. That's what they're hoping for. I really think that's what they're basing this off of. And I just don't see how that's possible right now. I just don't. I'm not saying it's impossible. I just don't see how it's possible. I don't see it. I just don't see it. And that's what I'm concerned about. That's really what I'm concerned about. I just don't see how three of these players, who Sam Williams has never topped 6 sacks. James Houston hasn't had 8 sacks in a long time. You're betting on Dante Fowler to have another great season back-to-back, which he's never really done in his NFL career. He's never done that in his NFL career. And then you're betting on Donovan Ezeraku, who's a rookie, to take over and be dominant. That's what you're betting. You're betting on all of that. And then you're betting on that DeMarvion Overshown, when he ever comes back, to be able to just go. And that's something I don't know how you can do. The Kenny Clark move itself is not bad. You needed defensive tackle help. Your best defensive tackle outside of Oso Odigizua was probably Solomon Thomas. That's not a good look. That's not good. That's awful. That is really bad. But that was your best guy. Maybe they aren't done. Maybe they're willing to make another move. Maybe they're going to go cut somebody. Maybe they're going to go bring somebody in. But at some point, you really do have to ask yourself, does this team look like they can do it? In my opinion, right now, they're betting on a lot from these young players. And I don't enjoy that. But maybe it does work out for them. We've been doing this series on this channel, The NFL Dream, and talking about how a team can make the playoffs. A team could go on a playoff run. And I was saying, before we got to the Cowboys video, which we're going to get to about a day or two before the season started, just was going to come out that way, I said, if Micah Parsons is playing on this team, by that point, this team can win up to 12 games. They really can. It's just 12 games enough. Well, now, I don't see how they can do it completely. I'm not saying they can't. But to me, I think Micah wins you 3 games. So where I have you now is 9-8 or 10-7. That's where I got you right now. Unless you can show me what these 3 players can do will win you a football game, I don't see how it's going to happen. I just don't see it. Not completely against it. I just don't see it. Again, the Kenny Clark move was not bad. He's an older guy, which does not benefit you that much, but you needed a run stopper. You got one, so that's good. How are we going to rush the passer? That's my concern. That's my concern right now. I don't see how this makes you a more complete defense. I really don't. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But I think you put way more pressure on your offense to be better. And maybe that's what they wanted to do. I don't know. Maybe that's what their plan was to make that offense have to be way better. So that defense can feed off that. Because there was something that Des Bryant said that I wish I could find it. I don't even know if I can find it. But he said he didn't understand why Jerry and the Cowboys, how they were handling this. The way they were handling it with their statements, he couldn't understand. And neither can I. Really, I can't. How are they handling this way? The only way this makes me feel better, and I'll close with this. Well, I'll close with this and then the 2 picks argument. The only way this makes me feel better is if they go and get another pass rusher. It's the only way it makes me feel better. Because right now, I don't feel better. I don't. feel better right now. I just don't feel better. I don't think you have the pieces to get a pass rush. Believe me, there is one player I think you can go get that I think makes this trade decent for you, and that's Zadarius Smith. That's the only guy. I don't see how you could do it any other way, because I don't think you have the horses to get pass rush. I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am, but I just don't see it. The picks argument is you got 2 first rounders for it. And yeah, you're betting on them being the best players, but they might not be. They're going to be late first round picks. They're not early first round picks. They're late. Unless you have a bad season where you have an early pick, or unless the Packers have an historically bad year and have an early round pick. There's no way a guy's going to completely fall to you as a defensive end in April. There's just not a way. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you have a great season, and maybe the Packers have a great season, but a guy falls to you. Or maybe you have a great season, the Packers don't. I don't see that being likely. I see it the other way being more likely. But maybe if that happens, which is a lot of asking for, it's a lot of ifs you're asking for here. Maybe, just maybe, something of a pass rusher goes your way. For NFL World, I'm Jacob.